Hey guys, it's Hunter. Welcome back to another video. Hope you're all doing well. Alright, so I know it's not the most popular thing to say on the guitar internet right now because, you know, haters gonna hate. But I'm a big fan of Chapman guitars. The collaborative design aspect, asking fans to vote on the features and finishes that'll make it into the final production models, that's super cool. They've been at least somewhat responsible for the widespread adoption of several modern playability specs and more affordable guitars, lumen lays, stainless steel frets, and highly rolled fingerboard edges. And even though a lot of the models have familiar roots, at the same time they have a way of being distinctly Chapman, and that's not easy to do. Take this ML3 Pro Modern, for example, right? Like a lot of companies have had their own take on the modern T-shape, but this one's got a unique flavor, and it's one of my favorite new guitars I've tried this year. That's not a statement I make lightly, so let's take a closer look. Alright, so the first thing I noticed about this guitar before even playing it is just how good it looks. Chapman guitar finishes are crazy. They have some standard looking ones, but they also seem to come up with looks that, even from a distance, you know, are distinctly Chapman. And building that kind of unique visual identity, that's not easy to do. This ML3 Pro Modern is in what they call hot white, and something I didn't notice on the website photos and that I hope is coming through the B-roll is that it's actually pearlescent. So there's a nice kind of colorful shine to it in person that doesn't really come through in photos. The model currently comes in cyber black and hot blue as well, both of which look real nice. I think hot white is still my favorite though. So my demos are usually quite formulaic. This one's gonna be a little different though. First, we'll jump into a demo track because this guitar sounds fucking sick. A lot of companies have their own takes on the modern T-shape. This is one of my favorites for reasons I'll go into in a second, but I wanted to get the thought process behind this design from the man himself. So I managed to catch Rob Chapman for a quick little chat about it. We talked about the ML3, the design ethos behind Chapman guitars, as well as some exclusive sneak previews about upcoming models. But first, the demo track. Let's do it.
Dust in your throat is drying up. The words that you try to say, getting harder with every breath. Midnight suns, sunrise brings another way. Like a phoenix from the flames, burning brighter than the flame. You're like a black
Again, I'd like to thank Rob for his time. I wasn't originally planning to lay down a solo, and you guys ask for that in videos all the time. So I asked Rob to do it, and he ended up sending vocals too. That was cool. So we'll get into final thoughts in a second, like specifics in terms of playability, specs, tone, etc. But now, in the meantime, being that modernizing the T-shape is such a popular move, I asked Rob Chapman for a quick interview to talk about how Chapman Guitars approached the project.
What I really wanted to do was make a carved top T-type, because I hadn't seen a lot of them. I mean, I demoed thousands of guitars, and I'd never really demoed a carved top T. And I loved the look of the carved top on a T-type. I really liked the idea of making something that was a little bit traditional shaped, but had the sort of modern contemporary contours of something that fit you really nicely. And back then, I still was a little bit in love with Parker Fly. Do you remember them?
Those were the carbon fiber guitars and
yes.
Yeah.
You passed the test, Hunter. The ML3 body shape was all kind of carved to fit your dad bod, which you need to get yet. You know? That comes later on. In the one that you've got, the Pro, what we did was 2 mega hot handmade USA Seymour Duncan Pegasus and Sentient.
Oh, they're great. They're so good.
Yeah. Sorry, everyone. I've literally just launched an EP with Clockwork Wolf and Company this morning, and everyone is texting me nonstop, and I can't stop them.
Congratulations about that, by the way. That's awesome.
Thank you very much. Church of the Wolf is literally out now, and we are buzzing, mate. I'm trying not to swear. It's very exciting.
You can swear all you want. I'll have my editor just beep everything out.
Yes, it's exciting. This fucking band lineup is fucking incredible, and I cannot wait to show you the first fucking music video.
That's awesome. There you go. That's the pro YouTuber plug right there.
So yeah, the carvings and the contours, it was all just my brain over the years absorbing the love of Parker Fly contours and ergonomics and curves and the traditional T-type. What I really wanted to do was a relic. It's so hard to relic in a factory and not make them just look like all the same guitar. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Been helping Harley Benton design like certain guitars and stuff, and we've been pushing factories to try to do like experimental things. Relicking is one of them, and they've tried all sorts of crazy nuts things with like laser machines, like trying to burn like finishes off and stuff. And I mean, it's kind of cool, I guess, but they all end up looking uncanny valley and all the same.
The only way to do it is by hand. You cannot automate. Well, you can automate and factory produce relics, but they all come out on the same. You know how they do it. If you've been through the process in Taiwan or China, they have leather-clad, like vibrating fists that sort of they buff in one area for 10 minutes. They take it out of a jig and put it in somewhere else. It does the same thing here. Anyway, we were going to do relic. We couldn't do it justice, so we didn't.
But yeah, just a few final thoughts. I'm not gonna lie, I really like this guitar. Already a carved top telly that had a pretty good chance of getting a thumbs up on this channel, but also the ML3 embodies everything I like about Chapman Pro Series guitars. You got the features we talked about at the beginning of the video: lumen lace, stainless steel frets, rolled fingerboard edges, the hip shot open gear locking tuners. Love these tuners to death. Chapman introduced them to me with the ML2 Pro Modern. Now I put them on everything I can. The contours are great, the satin neck is super quick, all the roasted maple is ultra stable. Barely had to tune this thing while recording the video and tracking the demo, and after demoing hundreds of guitars, I've learned that's not something you can take for granted. And I was a bit surprised it's not neck through like my ML2 is. Still prefer neck through, and it also looks really cool with that wood stripe running all the way through. But it's not like I was really thinking about missing it while playing this. The set through neck is really nice. All the thought behind the contours really shows. They blended it very well. I actually played a fucking solo in the demo, and upper fret access is fine. I'm surprised. A lot of people hate this headstock, and it's very similar to a reverse Tele headstock to me. In fairness, I guess the Tele headstock isn't the most aesthetically pleasing either, but I don't know. I don't think it's bad. We move. Now the neck, I love it. It caught me off guard though. I was thinking, okay, modern guitar, metal focused pickups, it's probably gonna have something like an ESP thin U neck, but no, it's actually got something more like a Fender-esque modern C. So it's not huge by any means, but it is thicker than you might have been expecting. Personally, I think it's perfect, but if you're expecting an ultra thin D-shape Ibanez Wizard type thing, this is a different vibe. Now back to those rolled fingerboard edges. That's another area Chapman guitars have been partially responsible in bringing to the more mainstream import market, And in my chat with Rob, he revealed the inspiration for that too.
You know, in every interview, you, Rabia, Matt Hornby, always like talking about these rolled fingerboard edges. It wasn't until I actually picked up a Chapman guitar and I was like, oh, that's why you roll the fingerboard edges. It just felt so played in. And that's not something that you can really advertise in like stock photos or even on video. It's not something that you can really see.
Basically, the rolled fingerboard edges, 100%, that was Lee Anderton. Lee, big fan of Fender Custom Shop stuff, and his favorite Fender Custom Shop necks had that feel. But Lee's not a luthier. He didn't really know what it was. Chatting to Anderton's tech and Chapman Guitars tech, we were like, you know, how do you get that? And they're like, oh, they roll over the edges with really fine grit sandpaper, and it just gives you that feeling of it being played by a hand for years. And Lee was like, well, can we just have that across the range of Chapman? And they were like, yeah, you can. It's amazing the things that you can ask a factory to do that they wouldn't do otherwise, but you'd expect them to do.
There you go. Lifted from custom shop fenders. Now the neck shape makes a lot more sense. The entire guitar is fairly light, coming in at about 6.5 pounds thanks to the Basswood body. But with the relatively thick maple neck and hip shot locking tuners, at least with my demo unit, I noticed a little bit of neck dive. Neck dive isn't really something that bothers me too much. An Epiphone G400 was my main guitar for years, and the ML3 isn't that level of bad, but it's something I thought I should point out for you guys. The sounds, these particular Seymour Duncan pickups are mean as hell. Love how they've been blacked out too. Like, aesthetically, they look about as mean as they sound. And while my ML2 Pro Modern came with a hard case, this one doesn't. Apparently they put that money towards upgraded pickups instead, and I'm definitely okay with that. I wish this at least came with a padded gig bag though. It seems more fitting for the Pro moniker. But the quality, world music in South Korea is one of the most consistent and well-renowned import factories in the world. It's getting more and more expensive to produce instruments there, especially with supply chain so messed up right now. That's why you see the import lines for most major brands moving more and more to Indonesia. Chapman sticking with South Korea for that extra next level of quality, definitely respect that. And it shows. The fretwork, no complaints at all.
And I was a bit dubious of stainless steel frets at first because I like vintage guitars with nickel frets. But then when you get used to them and you realize your guitar is immortal, it's like, I can hand this to my grandson and it will feel the same. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because nothing is worse. Everyone's had one of those guitars with a bit of fret wear and you just ignore it and play a gig and you realize you can't play a D chord anymore. And it's like, oh, but it feels good. Oh no, I've got to get it refretted. Do I do the whole board, one fret? Do I just get it crowned? And it's like, oh my God, who wants that hassle?
No fit and finish issues whatsoever. It's just pure quality. Yeah, overall, man, this reminds me of like if you told the Fender Custom Shop to make a modern metal-focused guitar. You've got that medium C neck with rolled edges, make it roasted maple, add stainless steel frets and high output blacked out Seymour Duncan pickups, tweak the body contours to be more ergonomic. So that's the ML3 Pro Modern. I love mine. I highly recommend it to anyone looking for a great marriage of vintage and modern. You know, with like the vintage Les Paul Restamonts and stuff. We love that shit on this channel. But lastly, our chat with Rob kind of moved into the realm of sneak peeks, new models, what's coming out next, including the return of my favorite Chapman guitar.
We're also bringing out some new ones in January that are even nicer looking. Actually, we're bringing out a lot in January. We're bringing out 12 new things, I think, all of which was supposed to happen this year, but then you might have heard of this thing.
We're gonna have to bleep that out too, because that's not
Oh, yeah.
allowed on YouTube.
No.
That's
Okay.
worse than saying the
So-
F word.
Yeah, that situation led to a shortage of magnets and timber, both of which are quite useful in the manufacturing of guitars. And as a result, manufacturing got put back. I mean, for everybody, it's the same. So Chapman's got a lot of product coming out early part of next year, including 7-string, including a baritone, and all sorts of really cool stuff. It's really exciting, mate.
What's going on with the ML2?
Oh, the ML2. That comes out in like a couple of months, maybe a bit longer than a month, that kind of thing.
All right,
That's your bag, is it?
bruh, you know it's my bag.
The new ones are really cool. We wanted to have a renaissance of what we had done before. We've tweaked the carving, the contours on a lot of the models. So you're going to see beautiful carving refinements in some of these new models. And also wicked colors and finishes that I don't know how Dave comes up with this stuff, but he does, and it's really cool that he does that. Because I'm like, after about half an hour of talking about carbon fiber neck reinforcement, I'm like, yeah, that's great. Can I go get a coffee? But Dave's like, but then, did you know, if you blah and then you thing, you can also insert, and I'm like, oh my God, at this point I don't care, but it's cool that you do. How much time goes into the minutiae, like, oh, what kind of nut material, what kind of scale length, do we want that? It's just so many things. Honestly, it's insane. I mean, you've made your own guitar with Harley Benton, so when someone says, here's a blank piece of paper, tell us what you want, unless they gave you a remit, how much time that takes.
It took a good while. It took a good while.
It's a lot of tweakage. We really wanted to have a renaissance of these models from the ground up, keep what people had voted for, but just really refine it. Process of severe refinement, make it better, better, better.
That's awesome to hear that you're not just, rehashing the same design over and over again in different finishes like certain brands.
I mean, we'll do that as well. And wood is a valuable commodity, not only financially, but it's, we shouldn't be wasting materials. It almost felt irresponsible to make neck throughs because, say, for example, in a shipment of 200 guitars, you had 20 of them broken in shipping or mishandling. These things happen all the time.
Yeah.
Then you got to almost throw them away because it's a neck through. Real problem.
So there you go, you heard it here first. New 7 strings, new baritones, the return of the ML2 is imminent. Updated contours and no neck through though, that should be interesting because that was one of my favorite aspects of the one that I own. But it's a single cut and the return is nigh. Can't wait. So if you enjoyed this video, smash the ever-living out of that like button, comments down below. Those were just my thoughts, but I'd love to know what you think. If you want to go a step further with appeasing the algorithm gods, you can hit subscribe and tick the bell for all notifications. Another bonus is you'll actually see when I upload new videos. Thanks to Chapman Guitars for letting us check this out together and for sponsoring the video. And Luke Kramer obviously killed it with the demo mix once again. Social media, merch, and Discord server links are in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching. You've been awesome, and I'll see you for the next video.